Hey, mama. So today's episode is such a good conversation. I chat with Taylor Svetlichny all about SEO for female entrepreneurs. SEO is such an effective way to get visible and attract your perfect clients without dealing with the drama that is social media. SEO continues to work for you even when you aren't showing up online. So grab your notebook and pen because this episode is packed with so many gems. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Hey, mama. Welcome to Marketing Without Socials for Moms, the go-to podcast for moms in business who want to stop relying on social media to build their business and build it in a way that fits their current season of life. I'm your host, Andrea Singletary, a wife, mama of two, and visibility strategist for moms. Each week, I'm giving you the inside scoop on how to increase your visibility, leads, and sales through podcasting, email marketing, and collaborations. Ready to truly make social media optional in your business? Grab your chai tea latte and let's dive into today's episode. All right, today on Marketing Without Socials for Moms, I'm sitting down to chat with Taylor Svetlichny, and we're going to be talking all about SEO for female entrepreneurs. So, Taylor, welcome to the show. Before we get into today's topic, please tell us a little bit about yourself. So, who you are, what you do, and all about your family.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Andrea. I'm super excited to chat about SEO and marketing without social media because I am all for that too. I am Taylor. I started in this field because about 6 years ago, I started a photography business in college. And I got into it because I love taking photos, as many photographers do. And then I quickly learned that running a photography business is so much more than just taking photos with my camera. And I actually had to learn all the business systems and marketing strategies and all the things. And so because I loved photography so much and I wanted to do it full time, I decided to go all in and learn all of that business stuff that I knew nothing of before. And one of those things was SEO. And that honestly changed my entire business. I think before I got most of my leads from social media, which was a really great start, but I would quickly become burnt out and honestly kind of hopeless because I would think to myself, like, gosh, it's so hard to plan my content. I'm going to have to do this for the rest of my life in order to keep my business going. And I know that sounds so dramatic, but I would get into those modes where I'm like, I don't want to post at all. I don't know what to do. So when I first learned of SEO, it just made a lot of sense to me. And so I went out and found an SEO coach to teach me everything she knew about on-page SEO was her specialty. And so we did SEO on my photography website. And I think that year I was able to make a full-time income. I tripled my income and it was just the best thing. And it was so freeing too, to be able to know, okay, if I don't want to post on social media this week, I don't have to, and my business will still bring in leads. It was so freeing. And so that kind of led me to teaching other photographers how to grow their businesses to full time, which encompassed all the business systems, including SEO. And in doing that, which I still do and love doing, I realized that even though I was giving information on SEO to these photographers, some of them got it and their businesses really grew and they got amazing results. And other photographers maybe were still a little bit confused by the technical stuff, or they skipped over it because it just felt like a lot. And so I started offering my students done-for-you SEO services, and that just was a great solution to that problem. And some of them took me up on it and got great results. And I love doing that for them. I love taking that off their plates and just doing the SEO for them. And then they could kind of focus on other things. So that's kind of how I fell into the SEO world. And then, yeah, long story short, I opened Aligned SEO and it's been amazing.
I love that. Like so many good nuggets there. I really resonated with what you said about like, oh wow, I'm gonna have to do this for the rest of my life.
Oh, yeah.
And that is something that, like, when I first started experiencing that burnout from social media, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I have to get over this because if I don't post content, I'm not going to generate leads. I'm not going to sign clients. And so it's like you come to this place where you're like, there has to be a different way. Like, this cannot be it, right? And I know a lot of my listeners, they resonate with that too, just like different conversations I've had with different listeners about just being in this place of I don't want to keep doing this. It's not fun anymore. It's draining and it's exhausting. Like, I got to do something different. So I'm super excited to chat with you, especially about SEO. I know SEO is one of those things where people are just like, oh my gosh, it's like this, mysterious thing. It seems so complicated. And it's not. Like, it's fairly simple, like once you get the basics down and everything. So as we dive into that topic, tell us what is SEO or search engine optimization? Like, give us your definition of it.
Sure, yes. So, my definition of SEO is essentially making optimizations or changes to a website in order to help a search engine understand your website better.
Mm.
Because when I think about a website, I think a lot of us cater to the human readers that are going to be coming to our websites. And so we make it really beautiful, especially as creatives or business owners, women entrepreneurs. But we don't, I think, often think about the robots that are visiting our website, which I'd much rather cater to the humans, but the bots are the ones that are essentially making the decisions on which websites to pull up when somebody types something into the search bar.
Yeah, I love that definition. And so talk to us a little bit about how SEO supports business growth. Like, I know you kind of shared a little bit, like your story and, the students you supported and everything, but give us some examples of like how SEO really can help us grow our businesses.
I love this question. I really love this question because SEO really did, like, not to sound dramatic, but it changed my life. I really feel like there's quite a difference in my experience, and I know with my clients, there's a difference between the person who's like scrolling on Instagram and then all of a sudden they find your photo or they find, a piece of content and they're like, "Ooh, I'm going to check this person out." So they go over to your profile and they scroll through and then maybe they visit your website versus someone who is intentionally like going into a search engine like Google or Bing or Yahoo and like typing in, the service provider that they're trying to find usually with the intent of hiring someone, or they're at least a little bit closer to hiring someone or booking you than maybe somebody on social media. So I feel like once that clicked in my mind, like that made so much sense. If someone's searching, they're probably a little bit further along in the sales process versus if someone's scrolling, it could go either way. Like maybe they are, maybe they aren't. And so spending more time investing in the foundations of SEO it was so worth it. And I think the other thing too is one thing I hear a lot in especially the photography world, but I think just among small businesses is that you have to keep blogging. You have to keep blogging in order to improve your SEO and reap the benefits. And while blogging is so useful, it's also just one piece of the puzzle. And I think it doesn't really matter how often you blog. It mostly matters the blogging strategy and the intent behind the blog article that you're sharing. So I don't know. I think it's so different from being on that social media hamster wheel, and it can really free up so much time. I think a lot of us are wanting to grow our businesses and don't want to be bogged down by all the different marketing tasks like social media. can just become so much. So I think SEO can change a business by freeing up time, getting higher quality leads, more leads too. I think visibility is huge. Like, you could have the best website in the world, but if no one's seeing it from, anywhere, then there's not much of a chance that you'll get leads or book someone. So I think Google is a powerful source of visibility, and it's the largest search engine out there. And so it's worth being in Google's good graces.
I really love what you said about the difference between someone who's just scrolling like Instagram versus the person who's actively searching in Google. And it's so true. Those people who are searching specific questions or searching for a specific type of service provider in Google, they're ready to invest, right?
Mhm.
Like they want to solve that problem right now. And so, really looking at where you're focusing your marketing efforts. We want those people who know they want to invest right now. We don't want those people
Absolutely.
who they don't even necessarily know they have a problem yet or they're like on the fence. Like, no, we want those people who are ready to invest right now. And so that's one of the things I love about SEO. Like, I know you talk more about like website and on page SEO and everything. I talk about SEO more from like the podcast side of things.
Mm.
But even with that, like being very intentional for me, like with my podcast and the keywords that I'm using, because I want to call in those people who they know they're ready to solve this problem right now. They know they're ready to invest in everything. They're just at that stage of figuring out, okay, who am I going to work with? Who am I going to invest in and everything? And so that's what I really love about SEO. It's like, we're bringing in those people who they're ready to move forward right now. Like they're not at that beginning stage of the funnel. Like they already know, like, I need to solve this problem right now. Let me just find the right person for me and everything. And so I know you kind of touched on this a little bit, but tell us a little bit more about how SEO differs from social media marketing.
Yes, yes. And I love that question because they, from my experience, are so different. Like sometimes I'll still get leads from social media for my photography business, but I do notice there is a really big difference between a social media lead who, again, is kind of just still, maybe they came across my photo on their explore page and they were like, wow, this photographer, I really like her style. Let me just reach out and see how much she costs. Versus someone who went through my website because they found me on Google with the intent of finding a photographer and then searched through all my pages and came to the conclusion that they would like to potentially work with me. I think, yeah, from the experience that I've had, there's a really big difference in intent. And I think when someone has gone through my website, which I set up very intentionally to like funnel people through the marketing and sales process to then reach out to me, when I do get on a consult call with them, I feel like they have all the information they need. They almost just need to talk to a human,
Mm.
maybe find a date, and then they're like ready to book. Versus on social media, if I were to offer a consult call and get on a call with them, it would be just a little bit more work, or maybe a lot of bit of more work for me to like walk them through the process. So I feel like, yeah, the difference is that it makes life so much easier for me, and they're already usually halfway there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, especially if someone's just finding you on social media, right? Like they're not getting access to all of your information. But someone who goes on your website and they explore, they're able to look at your different packages and services. Maybe they even read some of your blog posts and everything. they already feel like they know you somewhat. And so like that trust has already been built. But I think it's like you said, they just want to see the human, right? They want to make sure they're not being catfished, so to speak.
Yes.
So it does make a world of a difference. And this is also like another reason why I love podcasting, because that's the same experience I have. When I get on a, consultation call with someone who's like binged my podcast, they're like, "Oh, I already know you. Like, I feel like I already know you from your podcast content. I just want to, meet you face to face." And it's so easy, right? It's not a lot of work versus somebody who, finds me on social media. It's a lot more questions to be, answered and different things like that. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a different experience. Like
Mhm.
you can get so much more when someone is like exploring your website, or in my case, listening and binging my podcast. They feel like they know you more, that trust is there and everything. And so it's a different experience for you, as the business owner and stuff. So I definitely have seen that difference too.
Absolutely. And that is so true when it comes to that trust factor, too. I think in a world where we've got AI now and we have catfishers and we just have everyone's being sold to everywhere, especially on social media, but really just everywhere. I think that trust factor is huge. Like, you want to know that the person that you're thinking about hiring is, well, for one, a real person, but also is who they say they are. You have that connection, and you trust them. And I think that can be done on social media, but I think a website or a podcast is a really powerful way to showcase experience, expertise, authority, trustworthiness, which I just named the EEAT Google ranking factor there.
Oh,
This
wow.
year, they are prioritizing EEAT, expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. I think for that very fact that we're always being bombarded with AI articles, AI, Search GPT, Chat GPT, like all these different sources. And so I think it is becoming increasingly important to connect human to human and build that trust.
Yes, I agree 100%. So talk to us about some common mistakes people make when they start with SEO.
Yes, I am excited to talk about these because, like you said before, SEO doesn't have to be so complicated. I think there's just so much information out there about SEO. And also, like you said, SEO applies to like all the different platforms, not just, Google. You've got podcast SEO, you even have Instagram SEO. So I'm really mostly talking about SEO on your website for search engines like Google and Bing, Yahoo. There's also Pinterest SEO as well. But anywho,
Yeah.
to simplify it, I'm mostly talking about the SEO on your website and online. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see, especially in my area of working with photographers and service providers, small businesses, creative entrepreneurs, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is that some people forget or don't know to do keyword research. And that can really set the foundation, or it does set the foundation for a lot of the SEO effort. And so if you don't have good keywords to target, then you may not be reaching people at all, or you might be reaching the wrong people, or you might not have a chance at ranking because the keyword is too competitive. So that is something that I preach on a lot. There's a lot of free tools out there. One of my favorites is, SEMrush has a free option. I think you have a certain number of searches a day. But I also love this tool, um, SEO Mater, SE Mater. I'm not sure, but I'll send you the link. But
Okay.
um, for at least for Google, it's nice to actually see the numbers because you can find what I call golden keywords that are lower competition, a good number of searches, and you also have to think about who's searching the keyword. I think that's really important too. So keyword research is the foundation, and I don't think anyone should skip that keyword research.
I agree. I'm very big on keyword research, like I said, with my podcast. I'm curious for you, like, what is your process for doing like keyword research for a client or even for
Ooh.
yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So typically I will, I guess, first of all, I'll kind of make a little bit of a mental list or even a physical list of the different keywords that I think would be aligned with someone's business or someone's website. A lot of my clients are, or a good number of them are local businesses, so usually photographers in a certain city. But I have worked with a few online businesses as well. Those keywords are typically a little bit harder to rank for, but especially with my local clients, I will make a list of like all the cities in their area and the state, and I'll not skip any. If they're going to serve people in this tiny city next to the big city, then I'll make a list of that too. And then I will go into my keyword research tool and I will try all the variations of the keyword. So I'll do, for example, with a photographer in my area, Spokane, Washington, I might do, and let's say they're a wedding photographer, I'll do like Spokane, Washington wedding photographer, Spokane, Washington wedding photographers, Spokane, Washington wedding photography, Spokane wedding photographer, and so on and so forth. And I'll try all the different variations because you never know what you might find. You might find a golden keyword somewhere in there. And then from there, I kind of analyze search intent, search volume, and competition or difficulty. So it really depends on the website too. I kind of, before we start doing this, I'll do a full SEO audit of their website. And that kind of determines which keywords I'll end up choosing depending on like what sort of clientele they want to reach, but also how much authority and history is behind their website. Some websites that have been around for a long time that have a lot of authority with Google, they can rank well for like medium difficulty or medium competition keywords that other sites would have a much harder time ranking for. And so for those other sites, I might look at the low difficulty, low competition keywords. And then, all the extra keywords that I don't use on the main pages of a website, those are all perfect blog post keywords too. So usually with my keyword research, I could find hundreds. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoy doing keyword research myself for my podcast. I use keysearch.co. And I really enjoy like you said, like you search the keyword that you're thinking of, but then seeing the suggested ones and different things like that. It's like I'm like, oh, I can use that for a blog post or something. So yeah, it's a lot of fun just being able to see like what your website or your blog or your podcast can, potentially rank for and everything like that. So I enjoy it too.
Yes, it's always so exciting when you find a keyword that, yeah, has search volume, and then you see the low competition, and it
Yeah.
just, yeah, makes you so excited. I've used key search too. I have a food blog that I use it
Okay.
for, and that's a good one as well.
Yeah. So for someone who's feeling overwhelmed, what are the first steps that they can take to get started with SEO?
I think starting with whatever's going to make you least overwhelmed is probably the way to go. I would maybe even just start with the keyword research. And that's such a foundational part. I think if somebody goes and does the keyword research, they'll be able to better understand why some keywords are easier to rank for and some aren't. So I think starting with keyword research and finding just a few that you can embed into your website. I think that's a really good route to go. And then there are tons of amazing articles about on-page SEO. I wouldn't worry too much about like backlinks and off-page SEO and local SEO. Well, maybe local SEO, but I wouldn't worry too much about those things before working on-page SEO. Um, or I think for other people, like maybe it's easier to understand just maybe optimizing a blog or starting with a blog that's helpful to the ideal client, maybe has a few natural keywords here and there that they can add to their website. I think that's a really, really good place to start too.
Yeah, those are really great tips. And I love that you brought up too, like even optimizing old blogs. Like, maybe you wrote a blog, but you never did the keyword research for
Hmm.
it. So even
Hmm.
just starting there, like going back through your old content and looking at, okay, how can I optimize it? Or like you said, even with your website, going through your website, looking where you can incorporate some keywords and everything.
Hmm.
I think starting with that definitely makes it less overwhelming because you already have the content there. It's just you going back through and, cleaning it up, so to speak.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Just optimizing it. And that brought up another idea too. I mean, if you are on social media and you're at that point where you're like, "Oh, I've done so much work, but I'm just constantly on that hamster wheel and I don't want to create content anymore." What you could do is take some old posts and repurpose them into blog articles, maybe taking the best posts that resonated with your audience and turning that into a blog post. That way, it's going to be helpful. It resonates, so it's worth spending effort on.
Yeah, that's a really great tip too. So one question I love to ask my guests is who is one coach or mentor who has had a major impact on your journey as an entrepreneur?
I had I've had so many different coaches. It's something that I really like every year, especially around this time. I tend to invest a lot into education.
Yeah.
One of Well, I guess I'll say 2 of them.
Okay.
My SEO coach, Valerie Clark, she was pivotal in this whole journey. She really took the time to, like, sit down with me and teach me on-page SEO. She's got a coaching program that, like, you sit down together and she does it with you and shows you how, which for me was really helpful. And I learned so much. So that transformed, especially my SEO, but my business in general. And then the second person would be Heather. I'm gonna struggle to say her last name. Wenninger. I'll get the right pronunciation at some point, but Heather was my business coach, kind of around the same time as Valerie, maybe shortly after, and she helped my photography business tremendously. I was able to increase my prices, serve a different clientele that really filled my heart with joy. I went from being a wedding photographer to a mostly portrait photographer in newborn and family photography. So
Mm.
that switch was not easy, but she helped so much. I never thought that I would be able to make more money doing newborn photography than wedding photography. So yeah, it just helped so much. And I yeah, I have a coaching program I'm actually starting this week. Like every year I do one and it's so helpful. The best way to grow, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I agree. Investing in that coaching support, it makes a world of a difference in your business growth.
It really does.
Yeah. Okay, so as we wrap up, I would love for you to share with listeners. You said you're offering $200 off your done for you SEO. So tell us a little bit about this offer and, what it's like to work with you and everything.
Totally. Yeah. So this done for you SEO is as it sounds. I will do your SEO for you. So that includes, the audit, all of your on-page SEO, your keyword research. I also provide off-page SEO strategy. So link building strategy that's broken down from like easy to more complicated link building. And then I also provide a content strategy with over 50 like blog post topics and recommendations and also keywords. And that way, you're not burning your wheels creating a bunch of blog posts that aren't going to help with your SEO or your business. So yeah, I focus on all of those different areas. It's typically a 1 month process, and my clients have had incredible results in a fairly short amount of time. It really depends on how much history is behind a domain and how competitive the area is and all of that. But I really enjoy it. And so, yeah, for listeners, if you mention Mama Turn Mompreneur, then you will get $200 off of my Done For You SEO.
Awesome. I will make sure to include all of that in the show notes. Well, thank you so much, Taylor. This was such a good conversation. Before we get off, please share with listeners where they can connect with you and learn more about your services.
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me at alignedseo.com. I also am on social media on Instagram and Threads. It's under Aligned SEO Co. And you can find me there. You can also find me on Spotify podcasts at Coffee and SEO, or Coffee Plus SEO is how you have to spell it on Spotify. So you can tune in there.
All right. And I will make sure to link all of that in the show notes. Well, thank you again just for sharing with us all about SEO and how we can leverage it in our businesses.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for having me on the podcast. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
No problem. Hey, Mama. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang with me. I would love to keep the conversation going. So head to mamaturnmompreneur.com/marketing without socials to join my email community. I share even more tips and strategies for building a business that doesn't rely on social media and one that fits your current season of life, as well as more behind the scenes of mom and business life. All right, Mama, that's it for today, but I'll catch up with you again next week.